Welcome to the Market Review, where we discuss key developments in the financial and capital market as it affects the economy. Today, we'll be discussing unlocking economic growth through a vibrant commodities market. And my guest is Mr. Akinsola Akeredolu-Ale. He is the Managing Director, Lagos Commodities and Futures Exchange. Happy New Year to you, and nice to have you once again on the show.
Good morning. Nice to see you too, also about this year. Welcome.
Thank you. Before we begin the conversation, let us give you a wrap of key developments that occurred in the market from last week. FMDQ Holdings PLC informed the market of its company name change to FMDQ Group PLC. Since its launch in 2013, FMDQ Group has evolved over the years from an OTC market to a full-fledged securities exchange and a budding financial market infrastructure group now structured as the Securities and Exchange Commission registered capital market holding company. We're housing 5 wholly owned subsidiaries, which include FMDQ Securities Exchange Limited, FMDQ Clear Limited, FMDQ Depository Limited, FMDQ Private Markets Limited, and IQX Consulting Limited. Also last week, according to the FX Annual Commodities Review and 2022 Outlook, agriculture contributed an average of 25.35% to Nigeria's GDP in 2021. It also noted that the combination of rising inflationary pressure as Nigeria approached the end of petroleum subsidy is a major issue to watch. A possible naira devaluation in the power markets and increased demand pressure on commodities in the country have the potential to increase the price of grains during the new 2021 and 2022 trading season. We go on a break, and when we return, we'll continue this conversation.
Tune in to Web TV Daily to stay up to date and informed on the financial market, personal finance, and more. We have got you covered with all your favorite TV shows, economy and politics, market review, women's series, millennial talk, Islamic Finance Weekly, The Brief, exclusive interviews, events, and we keep you up to date on all the updates in the financial market with the market opening gong. Watch premium content. Watch Web TV. Same news, different perspective.
Welcome back, and if you're joining us, it is the Market Review, and our guest is Mr. Akinsola Akeredolu-Ale, MD, Lagos Commodities and Futures Exchange. Nice to have you once again, Mr. Akeredolu-Ale, and let's begin with the operating environment for the growth of the commodities ecosystem. How would you assess it so far? We now have 3. LCFE is there, FX has been there, and CX now has been revitalized.
Yes, I like, good morning again, also Abasi. And when we're coming into that ecosystem, we knew that we're going to have some headwinds in the ecosystem, but it was not going to be a smooth one. And at the establishment of Lagos Commodities and Futures Exchange, we understood that a lot of major challenges were going to be faced, and we anticipated that there will be some struggle in the operating environment. And when you are going to an environment and you want to make some changes, an environment that has existed for over a century or more, as the commodities ecosystem, you will expect that there will be some little resistance in that ecosystem, particularly when you want to introduce structure to an ecosystem, you want to introduce transparency into an ecosystem, you want to bring price discovery, and then you are trying to bring in liquidity and financial instruments. We knew right away that we would spend a lot of time educating the capital market ecosystem and the stakeholders, even the regulators in that space, to be able to see the new alignment and the new ecosystem. The operating environment for the commodity ecosystem is beginning to open up, and the introduction of the things that have to do with the financial structures, the financial market structures have been bringing a positive impact the ecosystem. The regulator, also the Securities and Exchange Commission, has seen that there's a major need to improve on the regulatory framework and the legal framework in the ecosystem. They're working on that in improving the ISA. Obviously, after the ISA is looked at and is passed, on the common ecosystem better, a stronger framework and a better backed legal framework to build up that space which is existing already in Nigeria.
Okay, sir. Now, looking at the commodities market, what are the opportunities for unlocking growth from the various ecosystem players in 2022, considering all the challenges we've seen?
One of the things that we need to look at in the Nigerian commodity space is the definition, which is part of what is going into the ISA now. Definition, our assumption all the time has to do with the fact that when you discuss commodities, it's strictly about agriculture. Now we know that Nigeria is a commodities country, and because we're in agriculture, we're talking about other asset classes. Crude oil, Nigeria's crude oil is a commodity. The solid minerals that in Nigeria is a commodity, and also the agri space contributes about 69% of our GDP as a commodity too. So if we're focusing on the agri space alone, coming out of the COVID period that we've been through in the last 18 months, the outlook is good, and gradually the production for the new season has been supported seriously by the federal government of Nigeria to make sure that some of the impetus that's required to catalyze that commodities ecosystem for the new season, the new growing seasons that are coming in, have been done properly, and the primary inputs have been put in place properly. So, if the primary input is good, automatically the harvest is going to be very, very good. So I see a big turnaround in that particular space in the commodity ecosystem in Nigeria, apart from the outdoor scheme that the federal government is doing, whereby agriculture might even inch up further in contributing to our GDP from that 69% position in Nigeria. And that's the outlook for 2022 for Nigeria.
And in terms of listings, innovative products, which you talked about last year in your outlook, what are we seeing so far? Are we going to see one, 3 or 4 listings this year? And those products across board, even across stakeholders with you, are we seeing that that synergy to provide products?
Yes. I would not use the word derivatives freely. I would use the word new instruments that have commodities as on the line. At the end of the day, they are derivatives anyway, but derivatives comes up at a particular level that's more technical than that. Those instruments, the simpler part of the instruments, those are the forward contracts that are going to come up, and they're going to be assisting the ecosystem so that there's proper planning and proper deployment of resources into the commodities ecosystem for people that want to participate in the ecosystem that don't necessarily want to get their shares and debts. That's we're not talking about the first mile now. We're talking about the people that are going to be investing in such a situation where the last mile of the whole ecosystem, they'll be able to participate effectively. Yes, those instruments are coming up for the grains sector, and before the first quarter, a few of those instruments will have been highlighted in the commodity space by the Lagos government.
Very, very interesting. Let us look at the plan by SEC to revisit the 10-year capital market master plan. What would you like to see happen from that end in terms of improving the commodities ecosystem? If you can address that in just 1 minute.
Yes, you see, like I mentioned earlier, the Commission is actually very, very proactive instead of reactive. And in anticipation for so many things that are coming into that space now, they've looked at it that the 10-year master plan needs to be revisited and be reviewed. And what they've done is they've done an extensive stakeholder engagement across board to make sure that everybody in the ecosystem that contributed to the earlier initial 10-year master plan contributes to this new one. For example, when the 10-year master plan was being done before, a lot of issues that had to do with technology, fintechs, and the agri-techs and all that were not really put into deep consideration there. Now they are being brought to the forefront to participate in this new master plan, and provisions are being made for those particular aspects. Yeah, so I think it's coming up strong, and it's going to be looking at what can be done today and also the outlook for the next 10 years further for the Nigerian capital market to be able to expand it further, to reach out to various other participants and players in the ecosystem, apart from the regular traditional players that have been in the ecosystem in the last 25 to 40 years.
And as we wrap up, Mr. Akinsola, the policy measures, just in 30 seconds, what are those policy measures you'd like to see that will support the growth of commodities market, which will in turn support economic growth?
The major policy that's very, very key, I'm sure that there are two things. The first one is the legal framework. That is the ISA, and the Securities and Exchange Commission is taking care of that, whereby there's a proper legal framework to support that ecosystem. That is being done. And then the second one is the issue of a policy to make sure that commodities traded in the ecosystem in Nigeria by way of turnover are made to pass through the Commodities Exchange by way of ratification and trades on the exchanges. The third one also has to do with the issue of the taxation, whereby we have a very, very tax-friendly country, whereby that ecosystem is not stifled by various fees and charges in that ecosystem. Those are the three things that are going to be the major driving force. If you have that, easily you'll be able to attract funding into that sector, cheap funding to that sector, and that sector will be able to have a lot of liquidity to be able to grow exponentially. By way of offtake, there's a market in the Nigerian ecosystem for offtake. Enough, we have 120 million people. So what we're going to be looking at is the efficient way of production, not just production, efficient way of production per acreage, by way of yield in the ecosystem. Those are the things that we should be looking at in that ecosystem.
Thank you very much, Mr. Akinsola Akeredolu-Ale, the Managing Director of Lagos Commodities and Futures Exchange, for the time. And we look forward to having a conversation with you on the commodities market and its growth and scale in much later this year. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And that will be all for this edition of the Market Review. If you have questions or comments or suggestions around how the commodities market can be positioned to unlock growth in the Nigerian economy, send your views or comments to otobasi.abasecon@proshareng.com. Also, follow our website, www.proshareng.com, to read the latest stories and analysis around the commodities market. We have them captured for you across all the stakeholders in the value chain. You can also follow our social media platforms displayed on the screen to continue to monitor developments in the market. Don't forget that you need to be informed to make the right investment decisions. Thank you for watching, and keep discussing the financial and capital markets because they create wealth and economic opportunities.